Hey, everybody. How's it going?
How are you today? Thank you for joining us for this LinkedIn live stream. Matheo Cadena from Type Thursday
Woo.
Los Angeles. I'm Michael Mondragon from Type Thursday Phoenix. Thank you for joining us today. We have another very important topic that, well, as two people who run chapters, it's very important to us having these volunteers but it's also volunteering has actually helped us in our careers.
Yeah,
So let's jump in.
absolutely.
Again, Type Thursday Los Angeles, Type Thursday Phoenix. We have events later this month, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But how volunteering shapes creative careers. So again, it's more giving your time is very tough right now with times are tough. Getting work is tough, keeping a job is tough. So volunteering seems to be something that few people would know where to start, but the people that do have benefited greatly. So
Yeah.
Mateo, tell me a little bit about your volunteering background.
So when I moved to Los Angeles from Phoenix, Arizona, it was around 2017-ish, maybe around that time. And I knew no one in Los Angeles. I had no friends. Like I had, I think, just my gunkles, right? So I was at that time renting a place from my gunkle and his partner. They've been together for so many years. And I was trying to find my community and trying to find my people. And I lived in Burbank, and Burbank is a quiet town, but there's not a lot of like events and activity, and wasn't a lot for designers. So I looked at AIGA Los Angeles events, and I'd always seen AIGA. I'd been just gone to the Phoenix Design Week prior to moving, and I loved that event. I made a lot of friends there. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should check out these LA events and see if they're just as good. And they were. My first event that I ever went to, I think Rebecca Mendez spoke. She's a designer, trailblazer, using design to fight for good causes, nonprofit work, and humanity, really, right? And I was so inspired by her talk and the energy of the people in the room who attended this event. Everyone was so welcome to meeting each other, meeting new people, making new friends. And that's because of the awesome team at AIJ Los Angeles, people like Julie Manthe, who are running keep the thing going, running all the volunteers who helped set up and run those events and you just get to meet a lot of people. I think that was the key thing, is like meeting people who are doing cool projects, working with cool clients, and you're able to ask questions, and it just sort of helped me feel like I found my community in LA finally. So yeah.
Yeah, my journey started, I didn't put myself out there actually till about like maybe 2014.
Mm.
I actually started going to, I saw in fact I just saw a thing on Facebook that gave me the memory of this. I think his name is Michael Dore, the typographer. He's like a seminal, like amazing typographer who's done like, great branding for a lot of different things. And I actually met Rachel Elnar there, and it was at
Mm.
Maker City, LA, which is in downtown Los Angeles. And through that, I started going to more events, and that's how I found out about Type Ed. I actually started going to a motion graphics group, and there was a very, at the time, he was kind of an underground motion graphics guy. And he later became this really amazing, Andrew Kramer was his name. And at the time he was just doing, tutorials on After Effects. I thought that was going to be the next chapter of my career, doing motion graphics. So I got involved with a motion graphics group, and I noticed that they didn't need help, but I found a way to help them. I thought, oh, I'm posting stuff about this anyway. Let me help you with that. I can, whatever. And so I became kind of that person that did that for them. And they met like, once a month in like downtown Los Angeles. And through that, I started kind of making my inroads into more Adobe things, going to more events and getting to know people. And I think that when you see people more and more, it's almost like, you know, you become not only friends with them, but really more than that, because you're kind of colleagues in a sense, because you're doing the same thing. They also say like, hey, you know, this motion graphics group is great because they're like, hey, Nickelodeon is looking for animators. And I wasn't at that level yet, but I was like,
Damn,
I mean, like, that's amazing. They're like,
that's
oh,
so
Adult
cool.
Swim needs like somebody like right now, or
What?
there's a Super Bowl commercial and we need like help right now. We just need to render stuff. Jump in, and so,
Damn.
yeah, it was kind of crazy like that. And so through that, I started, you know, creating these relationships that I still have today. When I go to Adobe Max, at the end
Oh,
of this month, I'll see a lot of those people that I met, um, uh, back in those days, you know, like over 12 years now.
yeah.
Um, and so like it's for me, it's been really game changing, because I think that I got my most opportunities of just being around different people, and different, like, they saw me as like equals, just through volunteering.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. And I remember hearing when we first met, you had the connection at DMA LA, the motion graphics community, and so Michael and I actually met because of AIJ Los Angeles chapter. Both of us were volunteering for the chapter, wanting to know how we could help more and how we could continue to build community, because we had both experienced events by AIJ LA that we really loved and were inspired by. And so we were like, let's volunteer, let's help out. And I think it was a bit before we got connected, but eventually when we got connected, that's when, you know, everything took off. I think you were the development director at that time, and I had just worked with the former development director. So I was like kind of helping you share the information from what we had learned in the past. At that time, I was probably working on as a programming director, and then later I got on the vice president of AIJ LA. I was nominated, and I was honored to be nominated and totally surprised by it as well.
Yeah.
Like the community pushed me up, because they were like, Matteo, you're here all the time. You do so much. You help out so much in every area of this organization. We think you'd be a great vice president to help move the chapter forward. And that, you know, those connections and those say things that people tell you just makes you so excited and passionate, and you want to do more. Like you feel refilled and excited to continue contributing more. And a lot of times that volunteer stuff that we do can lead to work. And this is where I could share my screen, Michael. Let me try to share my screen for us. And I'll be able to show you like how some of these volunteer projects that I was working on ultimately led to paid work. Alrighty. Do you see the screen share there?
I do. You have to switch it though.
Hmm.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I just switched it now. Is it good?
Oh, I have to remove this screen. All right. There you go.
Good. So this is my portfolio, and it's a work in progress, right? As all designers, we have a portfolio that's a work in progress, and forever work in progress. I just presented at Type Thursday. I got a ton of feedback. I integrated some of that feedback. Michael's given me feedback. A lot of my mentors have given me feedback. I know all of my design mentors. I can go and ask people for portfolio feedback because I volunteered for so many years in the design community. And in addition to that, I volunteered to run the Type Thursday Los Angeles chapter. So this is the big community that we've brought together, and I'm passionate about building community. But more importantly, I've made friends, and I've been able to work across so many different creative industries, and I've been able to see other people's work in industries that I never thought I'd be interested in, but they present at Type Thursday, and we all give feedback to each other. So I've been in the room to hear a lot of great feedback and learn. So I think as a volunteer, you learn every single time you do an event, and you learn way beyond your capacity what you would have learned on your own. In addition, I was volunteering within that first like 2 years of moving to Los Angeles. Again, not knowing anyone, I was determined to meet friends. So I started going to these different events. I found an event through Children's Hospital Los Angeles that was for they actually expanded to queer young people of color, and they had it's like a young adult division. So it was 16 all the way to like 30, I think was the age range that they were servicing, and they were doing events for them. Now, I volunteered with Children's Hospital Los Angeles to help them behind the scenes and build community events that could, attract these people. Because the first event I went to, I was like, this is so cool. People are trying to help our community. stay healthy, stay happy, meet new friends. And that was exactly the purpose of this event, is like building a community for people where they can make new friends, because that ultimately, from research, it shows when you have friends in your community of people who look like you and who know where to go for services like Children's Hospital, then now you're healthier. You are less at risk of contracting any health diseases, sexually transmitted diseases like HIV or STIs and STDs. So their program was to lower the risk and serve people, right? So once I learned about that problem, they had a bigger problem. And once I started volunteering, I found out that this division was at risk of losing their funding unless they could start to acquire new patients and increase their patient engagement, because at the time they were only getting like 3 to 6 new patients per month, and that wasn't enough to keep the funding going. And so I worked together with them to do this Pride campaign. We talked about my ability in design, my ability in communication, and my love for building community. So they already saw me showing up, volunteering, helping out. And then they were like, hey, you do a lot. Can we ask you, what else do you do? And I was like, oh, I do design. They're like, we need help. Can we do a Pride campaign for the month of Pride that engages our community and also educates and sort of shares out some of this information? Ultimately, we need to, get our people coming in and using our services more often. So the solution: create a Pride Month campaign, engage the LA LGBT community, and I made this beautiful letter set of LGBTQ plus letters in 3D, and I drew them in Illustrator. I didn't use any software to make them 3D. I actually drew this by hand. And this campaign went across social media and other different marketing channels, all because I stepped up and I volunteered. And I was like, hey, I can do that. And it started with free work, right? But then it became this paid project. And the results, ultimately, we increased their new patient engagements. It was from 3 to 6. We got it up to like 15 to 30 people per month were coming through the door, and people were returning and coming back for follow-up care. And so those were big metrics for them, and that helped them go and pitch the results that we made. And they even invited me, Matteo, you're so good at marketing and communicating. Can you come with us to this meeting with the LA County? These are the grant funding officers we're going to meet with. And I said, yes, I would love to be in the room. I want the experience, and I want to be able to share the work that we've been doing and the results that we've been getting from doing all this outreach and these events. And it's the power of design, and the power of community. And so thanks to the pitch, we secured 5 years of additional funding. So it was a 5-year program. It was at risk of getting terminated, but because we intervened and we pitched them the work we'd been doing and the new numbers that we showed, it still wasn't at the benchmark that they had hoped for, but they heard us out. They saw what we were doing. They saw the effort, and they said, you know what, we'll approve you for an additional 5 years of funding. So I think the total lifetime of it was over 15 years that they were able to fund this division for, because of the work that we did, all this like grassroots work. So we got to execute this across, like we talked about, billboard campaigns and out front campaigns, out of home campaigns. And so all this research told us that when you have community, you feel you're a part of something, you have unity, and that means you're healthy. And so visit CHLA today, because a lot of the LGBT demographic in LA didn't know that CHLA even offered these services. So we got to show what that looked like across different verticals. And of course, Los Angeles being by the beach, changing the LGBTQ letter set so it goes across something that fits a different dimension and reaches lots of foot traffic and can drive people back to the hospital for services. So this was a huge project in my career, because it combined my identity, being a person who's in the queer community and being a person of color, but being able to help other people get access to life-saving services, ultimately, in healthcare. And we even had programs that connected people to housing, food, and other healthcare needs. So that was really cool to see. And all of this came out of volunteering. This was another piece, but then I volunteered with AIJ for many years, and we got to work on this mail out the vote campaign. I got to hire and pay some of my volunteers who I worked with at AIJ Los Angeles and artists in the community, because they were coming to our events or because they were volunteering. So each of these 6 postcards is designed by a different designer. And we were really proud to launch this campaign. It was, and get people to go vote. And we did. And it was a diverse set of designers, which was really cool. And we got to fund some people. And so I didn't directly design these, but I worked on the concept and the strategy behind the Mail Out the Vote campaign. And I got to go and select the artist and hire them to design. This is design from my friend Stefan Bucher, who's amazing designer and this awesome, wonderful design here. And yeah, so there's another project in here. This is the hair care project I've done. This is my friends just opened their Pokey studio. Nike Studios, West Hollywood, is across the street, walking distance. So I was like, guys, let me, pitch you to Nike Studio because you're fast, fit, and, fast, fit, and fresh was the tagline I created for them. And we offered like a 10% off to anyone in Nike. If you finish your workout, come get Pokey, because they just opened their doors 2 weeks ago here in West Hollywood. So they need that local community business. And this was another volunteer opportunity. But now, you know what? I get to add Nike to my client portfolio. And right now, I'm actually working. Before this call, Michael, I had 15 minutes to come up with a design to Nike Love the Pokey collaboration, and I just introduced them to Junior Cookies, who's another partner that I've worked with thanks to Type Thursday, my volunteering stuff I do with Type Thursday. And so I've offered them, let me introduce you to Nike Studio and Junior Cookies to Nike. And I was like, after this meeting that we had today, I was like, let's make something that during your Nike events, now you can offer this like at that event and say, today only, go over to Junior Cookies and you'll get 2 free cookies. And so working on this design now, and all of this because of volunteering and just working collaboratively with friends. And last night I even had a friend reach out, and he had an AI project where he was like, I'm trying to do this with AI, Chat GPT. I ran out of credits. I can't edit anymore. I like the flyer, but every time I want to make one line, I want to change one word, it changes the whole flyer and I can't change it. And I'm like, okay, let me just help you. So again, I came in, I helped them solve the problem, but I said, let's actually talk about design strategy. And I, opened up a Notion document and we talked through, I asked him a series of questions about what he's trying to do. It's a workshop. He's a teacher. He does workshops. And I was like, let's just talk about the strategy. Let's talk about what you're thinking, the time, the duration, who you're going to pitch this to, what's your potential revenue look like for this workshop, who are the top 10 families you would pitch it to. And then let's make the flyer that you can text, because that's going to be where you're going to get the fastest response rate. And I'll make a flyer where you can email that same thing out in an email too. And it worked amazingly. And he was so frustrated with AI because it wasn't helping. And he could have, done it himself, or, used Canva or another app, or just sent out what he had. But it wouldn't have been as effective because he was getting lost in the how and in where he was going to send it to. And I was just kind of helping him compose the language and the strategy behind it all. So yeah, that's it for me, Michael. Volunteering has led to a lot of work.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. And so, breaking that down, it built your visibility. You also can use your skill development. So you can actually build these, because a lot of things that, I think people that are now doing the Chat GPT and learning how to design are learning kind of like the barrier. It's like, even with the tools, you're building stuff, you're trying to build things, and you're just like, you're fighting the software to make these things.
Yeah, you're fighting
make them
with
look
it.
right, and you're making them look great. And the tools, this is a deeper conversation, but the tools don't make the artist. Much like a carpenter can have the greatest hammer, it doesn't make him the greatest carpenter, right? And as they say, a good carpenter doesn't blame his tools. But it also helped your portfolio and resume. I mean, that's obvious. You're also networking with a purpose. You're not just networking just to say, hey, I just want to hang out with artists. You're like, no, I need to make professional relationships. I need to make professional work for people that matters, that means something, that's going to go in my portfolio and actually have substance. That's important.
Yeah.
But also, volunteering helps you give back, because not all work is paid. And maybe we should talk about that for a second. Like, sometimes you'll give your time for free.
Yeah.
So
which is the case of this.
When should you do that, and when should you not do that?
That's a good question, and I think it all depends on the position that you're in, right? And now where I'm at, I definitely am feeling the push of I can't give away much more free time. because I'm giving away a lot of free time now volunteering. But what I found is, well, this Nike project just happened to fall in my lap because I was at Junior Cookies to place an order for Type Thursday and bring the cookies to Type Thursday later. And the guy from Nike walked in, and I'm like, hey, I know the owner. Let me give you an introduction, because he wasn't there at the time. So I was able to sort of facilitate this. And what I realized very quickly is, wait a second, okay, I can, help them do this, and then it will be unpaid right now. And ultimately, the goal is to see, well, now that we've partnered and now that we've collaborated, you can see the value that I can bring to your team. Could we work together on something a larger scale, and we can scale this up? This is small right now and quickly executable. So again, I spent on the design itself, that was like a 15-minute design that you saw, and then I'll tweak it and refine it at another 15 minutes, and we'll get it off for feedback and stuff. So it's really quick. These are fast turns. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But now I said yes to that project because it adds Nike to my portfolio and client list for my design studio. And so that's a moment where you definitely say yes if it's a big brand. We know that they have access to big money as well, but sometimes it's the person you're meeting doesn't have access to that, right? They're not the right point of contact for that. But because you establish this relationship, that can help you sort of get in the door. Or now I can leverage the project I did with Nike. Do I leverage that with Adidas or another brand who's in the fitness sphere, right? And so how does that complement my portfolio? So it kind of depends, like when you would say yes to volunteer work, usually means that you have enough of free time right now between your work, or if you're unemployed, like you could say yes to some free work, and you can usually make it something that's maybe a smaller project that you can quickly execute that can lead to more work, right? So that's another thing. Or it could be something that is a value alignment for you. So if you really value healthcare and design, or mental health and design, and someone has a project that is combining mental health, and it's like a therapist needs to redesign their brochure about the latest mental health findings, maybe that's an opportunity for you to volunteer to design that thing, and then say, hey, we could also take these findings and put them on your website. Can I help you do that? And that could be paid work. So I would say yes when you have the time, or when it's value aligned. If you feel that you don't have any extra time, then it may not be the right time for you to volunteer. Or can you just volunteer and sign up for like one event? Because if you volunteer for an event, you get into the event free usually. So that gives you a chance to network and meet other people. So it kind of depends on what you need or what you see is coming up in your community, between your friends or people who you've graduated with or met in your career, and you're just kind of seeing what's out there and what do people need and where you can come in and lend your expertise.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned, like, again, we run these Type Thursday organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're chapter leads, we're volunteers. We actually
volunteers.
volunteer for a year to put on these events, to do all the work, to enrich the community with these typography-driven conversations and contributions. So it's something we're very passionate about. For me, I also help my girlfriend's in a master's nursing program here in Arizona, and I help her with all the graphics for the Fibromyalgia National Health Organization, which she runs.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
again, it's like I'm helping people that
You're helping people.
I've never seen,
Mm,
and I don't know of it. It's like, we're keeping people alive in
yeah.
every sense of the word. But I also help, other things that are important to me that also kind of help my career trajectory in a way that I'm very strategic about most of the things I do. So, I mean, I do a lot of work with, I teach teachers about Adobe Express. I also teach at a university and community college level. But I also had a project that came my way. It was also AI related. So this is a thing where all these, I have 30 years of experience, but now design, most people like that had a laptop and Photoshop kind of consider themselves graphic designers, which, I would kind of like roll my eyes at. But now I'm having people come to me with actual images. I had somebody who did it was like for service dogs, and they were trying to make stuff, and I basically broke it apart and brought it back together in Photoshop to, because AI wasn't doing it properly and it kept on regenerating it in a different form. Also, the typography wasn't great for it as well. But I also, so that was an interest. That was my first project I ever got, that someone brought me an AI image that they were okay with. And I'm like, okay, it is what it is. But the second one that I want to show here, I'm going to add this to the stage. I had a friend. So
this is cool.
Yeah, I did a branding for it was called, this person that ran this, it was called Japan Ball. And Japan Ball was, they did basically tours to watch Japanese baseball. Nice. And it's amazing. It's very unique. It's super niche and
very niche. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But there people that do it are super passionate about it. And it's kind of like a, only thing of its kind that, obviously. So they started expanding and going to Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Mexico and different places. But that didn't fit under the Japan Ball kind of format. So they expanded their branding to Extra Innings. It was called Extra Innings Travel. And so I did that branding. And through that branding, I wanted to do a baseball. I'm very passionate about baseball and everything about
it's Michael's jam.
That's where I started. I love making baseball logos when I first started. And then through that, I really wanted one of those under my belt that I branded something for baseball. And it's been very successful. So now I'm having people come to me now with their versions of what they want to make. And so this was another one. A friend came to me and said, like we actually have a travel team, and in baseball, like young kids have travel teams where they raise money and they go different places. And like their goal is to be a part of this Extra Innings Travel because they have a little thing where these kids, very young teenagers can travel around the world and play like teams in Puerto Rico, play teams in the Dominican Republic. So that's what they want to be, right? So they raise a lot of money. So for this, they wanted to make what's popular right now is City Connect uniforms, which is an alternate uniform that the Major League Baseball is doing right now. So they're like, oh, we want to do a different logo, and then we want to build uniforms off it. Okay, so all they did was make this, and this I'm gonna remove this real quick because I want to show you what we started with.
Okay.
So this was what was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this right here, you can see if you look at the TI, that's off compared to the GERS. If you look at the actual tiger, it's actually not symmetrical. There's that on the side right there. It actually doesn't look like the other side. It's kind of wonky. The bat actually, it looks like it lines up, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's just flaws in the design of this. Okay. And then they also had an alternate logo, which is similar but different. Okay, so this is good. I mean, it wasn't bad. For AI, this wasn't a bad. This wasn't a bad thing. Okay, so what I did was I took those logos and they were just like literal like pixels. Okay, so they weren't vector. That means if you make them bigger, they're gonna like it's gonna be bad. And it's like, so what I need to do is break it apart so I could use it for different things and actually make variations off of it. So that's what I did here. So I actually cleaned it up. I actually gave it a font. So this is an actual font that I got from Adobe Fonts. And so I vectorized this and actually changed the bat. So again, I'm using the AI, but I actually improved on it with me, with my precision and my branding skills. And then I made different versions of this. Okay, so I like, well, let me imagine this a little bit differently because I'm like, oh, this would be a cool patch on the side of the shoulder, right? And then I'm like, oh, let me try this. This may seem cool because I love the 626. So 626, they're from California, 626 area.
Oh, that's the 626. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the El Monte area, or like Inland Empire, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I started making this out of it. So I just made variations off of this. Now,
Oh, that's cool.
AI is not going to do it in this kind of form because I needed the tiger kind of like peeking over it, and it needed a little bit of human finesse to it. And then eventually I wanted to envision what the uniforms were going to look like. What are the actual uniforms going to look like? And AI can take a shot at it, but it is nowhere near going to do something like this. So
Ooh.
I actually thought it out and actually had to do the color combinations. So I wanted it to be, similar to kind of what they had, but also, so I had to kind of recreate this a little bit. But I really wanted it to have a specific look to it. And so, yeah, this is actually what basically the client wanted. And I did it in a day because I'm crazy. And I knew that I didn't want to spend more than, a day on it, but I just I wanted to get it, not only get it done, but also do it well and well enough where it was like, if they were to get this made, I would be.
You're proud of it. Yeah.
Totally proud.
You would wear it. You would rock it. It looks cool. I would like this looks cool.
Yeah. And it's cohesive. And again, I'm bringing in my baseball knowledge of what I know of what these kind of City Connect uniforms kind of look like. And I try to incorporate that into this. Again, I did it for free. So if there's any pushback on it, I'm just like, I didn't lose anything, but it's like, but this is where I get to kind of flex my, like I said, I love baseball. So this was great for me.
That's a good point, right? Because that comes back to the question, when should you take on volunteer work? And it's exactly what I said, is if it's a value aligned opportunity with something you love, which like you said, you love baseball, and then they need design, they need your expertise. You can go and say yes to that volunteer opportunity because it's going to give you a medium, a real world problem to solve, to execute and flex your expertise. And then now you've got this value add. If people start wearing this, or they show this to another team, and they want more, then it's who are they going to hire? And now they'll be like, let's call Michael. We got to hire Michael because he made this awesome thing. Oh, wait, where'd you get that shirt? Oh, custom design. You got to call this guy to get it. Like, oh my God, let me call him, So, and it merges the things that you've loved your whole life. I think that's when you should volunteer or say yes to a volunteer opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it combines everything I'm passionate about: baseball, branding, typography, layout.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it's so value aligned for you.
and making things vector. I love making, this was so fun because basically I just made half of it and then I just flipped it. And then is like, for instance, this little bottom part, you can see that that's not something that's symmetrical. But like I tried to make those little nuances where it actually, it actually has flaws in it, which actually I'm okay with, because that's where it looks kind of like hand drawn and it doesn't look computer generated. I mean, you don't want it to be too perfect. And that's where, I said, like again, going back to, that's what it was. That's what we started with. And there's a great idea here. I think it's great. And, but then I felt like I had to refine it. So
nice. I love it. I love seeing this. Well done, Michael. Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah.
But I think that lends to exactly what we're talking about, which is, what are the lessons learned here? It's volunteering is about showing up consistently. And it's like, we could do it once or twice, but just like work, we're unreliable, right? So it's about showing up and showing people like, yes, I can do whatever. I went to an Adobe event here in Phoenix on Monday, and they didn't have literally a photographer for it. And so they're like, oh, do you know a photographer here? And I'm like, so I'm on the phone with a few people and I'm like, well, if worse comes to worse, I have my phone and I'm ready. I'll take 1 million pictures. So it's also the flexibility of saying like, stepping up when other people, like I could tell how stressed the event coordinator was.
Yeah.
And I just, it's like, so it's also, there's a lot of that. It's just being right place, right time.
We had a comment from LinkedIn. AI can't replace the Mondragon. I love that. Very
Yes.
true. Very
Please show
true.
your name. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, yes.
Thank you
The
for the
Mondragon
comment.
is a one of one, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
just see what's out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, I feel like this is a good place for us to wrap, Michael. I love this conversation today. I think volunteering has absolutely been the number one thing in my career that has helped me meet people like you, best friends who I still talk to, mentors who I call when I need help or I need feedback and guidance, and even clients. Clients who say, "Hey, I need work." And then that often turns into paid work, within a month, sometimes 3 months. But usually you would see, if you're active and you're showing up, like Michael was saying, you're consistent in your community and you're doing things, usually those people follow up with you, and some things are going to be a dead end. That's okay. It's part of the process too. So give what you can when you can. But if you see thing that's value aligned, like Michael's project, combining all of his love for typography, layout, branding, baseball, design, or my project, which combined, I love health, healthcare, mental health, LGBT communities, building community, and design and marketing, and it came together, and that turned into paid work. Within all of that happened within less than a year, I would say. And looking back, I worked with them for a few years, so I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So you never know what's going to happen in your career when you start to volunteer.
Yeah. And also, volunteering is an investment in your career. And I know two people that are on your screen that would really appreciate volunteers. And if you're willing to volunteer, if you're in the Phoenix area, please, on Instagram, we're Type Thursday PHX. If you're on Instagram for Type Thursday LA, I'm sure you're looking for volunteers for what you're doing, right?
Yeah. We're looking for people who have skills in video, motion, graphic design, marketing, social media, photography, videography. I'm sure the same for you, Michael.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you have
all
any
of
of those skills, or you want to learn those skills and you want to put them to work for someone on a project that's real world, so you get your hands dirty with real world experience, then message us, hit us up,
it.
contact
Yes,
us, DM us, slide into those DMs, let us know you want to volunteer. We'll send you the form to sign up.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. We're looking forward to having all these conversations. So thank you so much for joining us today. For Matheo Cadena, I'm Michael Mondragon, and we'll see you next week with another LinkedIn live stream. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everybody.